regardless of how successful you are, regardless of what it is that you are able to accomplish in your life, this idea of self-confidence is something that comes from the inside. We have these insecurities about ourselves. We have these things that say, like, I don't really know if I'm able to do that. I've done this, this, and this. Those I can do. But that new thing, I'm not quite sure. And we don't realize how much self confidence affects everything that we do. So we're going to go through and I'm going to give you the 3 things that you have to have in order to develop this level of self-confidence. So if you're struggling with indecision, if you feel like, oh, there's things that I need to hide, I don't want to show people my flaws, you're struggling with that imposter syndrome, any of those things, self-confidence is going to be the root of everything that we need to change in order to help you get to that next level. So confidence, we know, comes from being successful at doing things. We think that's where it really comes from. We think that, oh, the more successful I am, the more confident I'm going to get. And so we just need to create success in order to be confident. But the real strength in your confidence comes from the struggle. We think, well, if I didn't have a life of all of this struggle, if I didn't have all these things going wrong, then I could be more confident. Then I could be open-minded to possible things that happen. Then I could have a little bit more belief in myself. I could do all of these things. The problem is it requires that struggle in order to develop that self-confidence. And so that's what we're going to go into today, because confidence isn't necessarily earned. It's not earned because of the things that you've done. Rather, it's built off the back of that struggle. But if you have these 3 things that we're going to talk about today, then you're going to have the ability to go through that struggle with confidence and not have to wait until you're through the struggle in order to gain it. That's where the magic really happens. If we can cultivate that confidence within us first, then this journey to create success is going to become so much easier for you to be able to move forward. So confidence is actually the product of knowledge. When we know what we are doing, when we know what it is we want to achieve, then that's going to help us to be able to reach those things. So the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to pull my notes up here. The first thing is to cultivate the power of habits. Now, there's a lot of things that we could go into about how do you create a habit and what does a habit look like. We're not going to go into the specifics of how to create a habit, but what habits are able to do. And there might be a little bit of like what that looks like as we go through, but your brain loves habits. Your brain will put everything on automatic that it can. We don't have to think about how to brush our teeth. We don't have to think about how to walk. We don't usually have to think about how am I going to fry an egg. Those things, they just come to us because of habits. So when we take the things that create confidence and we make those a habit, that is what's going to allow us to feel confident in the face of everything that you are going through, any struggle that is coming up, anything that feels like it's a little uncomfortable, you can go through that with confidence because you have the habit of creating confidence. And so what we want to do is find a formula that you can work through to create a habit around generating this confidence. So there's 2 cycles that we could go through. Okay. There's the cycle of failure, which unfortunately, majority of the people are cycling through and don't even know it. So it always is going to begin with a new goal, something that you want to create, something that you would like to have in your life. So we go through, we do the steps to get that thing. And then the struggle happens. Maybe it's resistance. Maybe it is the just life happens and things come up, and it stops us from being able to easily achieve the new goal that we want to create, that new thing that we want to bring into our life. Now, this is where the cycle of failure and the cycle of success start to differ. In a cycle of failure, we go in and we begin filling our heads with doubt, with disbelief. I don't know if I can do this. Why is this so hard? Oh, it just keeps happening to me. We repeat these things over and over again. Well, we talked about this idea of autosuggestion. And when you go into a place where you are repeating these false beliefs, these limiting beliefs, these thoughts that limit what you're able to create, what ends up happening is we create this whirlpool of failure. And your brain is always looking for evidence to prove the thoughts that you have are correct. And so we're going in to prove all of those thoughts that I can't do this. This is too hard. This is just too much. It takes too much time. It's too much space. And we create this whirlpool of failure because your brain tries to go in and back up all of those thoughts. And all you see is more failure, more failure, more failure. You finally get fed up with that. I'm not going to do this anymore. So what do? You say, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make it better. And so we create a new goal. And this is where the cycle of failure really comes into play. Not only are we cycling through this loop of failure, going through because there's so much disbelief, there's so much doubt around, is this even possible for me? That your brain watches for all of the evidence that you will continue to fail because it has to prove those thoughts accurate. Whereas on the other side, when we talk about the cycle of success, we're still going to create a new goal. We're still going to take the steps to be able to go forward with that and make this a reality. The struggle is still going to be there. Resistance is still going to be there. And that's the key. That struggle doesn't go away. But what happens is once we go through that struggle, we fill our minds and our thoughts and everything within us with the ideas that there's this radiant confidence in us. And it's this idea of curiosity. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I'm sure going to keep going. And I'm just not going to stop until something different happens. And we fill our thoughts with things that are uplifting and inspiring. And we start to develop this belief within ourselves. When we get to that point, when we develop that belief in yourself, it doesn't matter what goal you set. You literally can create anything in life because you have the belief in order to get you there. You have the ability to create incredible things in your life because of that belief, because of the things that you are able to do. I have a poem that I want to read. This again is out of the Laws of Success book. And I apologize, they did not quote who this poet was, but it's really powerful. So I'll have to look it up so I can give credit where credit is due. But it says, if you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you don't think you can, it's almost certain that you won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out of the world we find success begins with the fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or fastest man, but soon or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. So this is not just about positive thinking and like, can you think that anything is possible? The majority of us feel like Yes, anything is possible. We know that we live in a world of possibility, and we live in a place where opportunities are all around us. We know that, but we don't always believe it's possible for us. Yes, that's possible out here, and other people are able to do it, but is it really possible for you? And that's where this belief comes in. So when you create this formula that says, this is what I want, like what we talked about in Success Law 2, which you can find a link to that. I'm going to make sure that I put it down in the notes so that if you want to go in and maybe you don't know what it is that you want, that's where we start. Self-confidence can't come if you don't know what it is that you're working towards, if you don't know what it is that you're creating. So we're going to start there. Do you know what it is that you want? Once you know what it is that you want, then it's not even about how do you get what you want. The how actually doesn't matter. You identify the what and allow inspiration from God to take you through the how. You just follow those steps. You follow what comes next because it's going to come to you in the moments that you need it. When you have that confidence that it's not up to me to figure it out, but something bigger than you is going to guide you, then you just have to worry about continuing to move forward. And so, what does moving forward look like? And you create a formula that says, I know what I want. I know I'm willing to take the action that I need to in order to achieve it. And then, what does that do for you? Creating a formula around those three things is going to help you take the steps that you need in order to be able to reach that next goal. Now, the second thing that we are going to do to help you gain this confidence, where confidence comes in an automatic state, is to surround yourself with people who believe in you. When your belief in yourself starts to wane and fall backwards, what we need is to surround yourself with people who believe in you. Now, this can be anybody. This can be a spouse. This can be a good friend. This can be a mentor. This can be somebody who maybe is ahead of you in life, and maybe even somebody who's behind you. Now, that is not a typical way that people talk about confidence, about getting advice from people who are behind you. But let me tell you this. They don't always need to know where you're going, but they do need to know what you are capable of. And if there's somebody who is a few steps behind you, but they have a belief in you, that is all you need in order to develop this confidence to keep moving forward. It's about them inputting their belief into you. So let me tell you a story about how all of this works. You probably have heard of a very wise, incredible man named Thomas Edison. When Thomas Edison was a little boy, he was going to school, but he really struggled with reading. And he was falling behind and falling behind. And he came home from school one day, and his teacher gave him this little note and passed him the note, said, make sure your mom gets this. Don't let anybody read it but your mom. And so he came home, he couldn't read the note, and she opened it up and got tears in her eyes. And so curious little Thomas Edison said, Mom, what does it say? And she read that note and she said, your son is a genius. This school is too small for him and doesn't have good enough teachers to train him. Please teach him yourself. And so he started working from home, and she taught him to read. She taught him to write. She taught him to be curious about the world around him. Years and years later, as he grew up, he started inventing and became known as one of the most well-known geniuses in the history of the world. And he created a legacy around the things that he was doing because he knew that he was a genius, that he was sent home because he was a genius, and he believed that. Well, years later, his mom passed away, and as he was going through a closet, he found this letter, and he pulled out this letter. It was well worn, had been opened and closed so many times. And what the letter actually read was this: Your son is a mentally deficient child. We cannot allow him to attend our school anymore. He is expelled. Thomas Edison became who he is, or who he was, because of the belief his mom had in him. The only reason that he went on to be the inventor and the creator that he was because of the belief of someone else. She believed in him so much. She knew what he was capable of, that it turned into something that was absolutely incredible. And so later, Thomas Edison wrote in his journal, he said, Thomas A. Edison, the mentally deficient child whose mother turned him into the genius of the century. When you can hold the belief of someone else within you, you can take that confidence and create incredible things. But you have to surround yourself with someone else whose confidence in you, their belief in you, is higher than your belief in yourself. When Thomas Edison struggled to learn how to read and he couldn't figure things out and he didn't know what to do, his mom was right there to put that belief into him. And it turned out to create a genius whose name is known all over the world. And so when you feel that lack, you don't have the habits to create that idea, to create that belief in yourself. Surround yourself with people who believe in you and lean on that to help you generate it and create that belief in yourself. So the third thing that we're going to talk about to create this self-confidence automatically, to align your brain and the actions to help you be able to generate this self-confidence, is to remove fear. Now, I know that that is easier said than done. I know that removing fear in situations, especially if you're in the middle of the struggle, is not easy. So I'm going to give you a tool, a neuro tool that you can use to help you remove fear. Because what we know about fear is a dungeon of the mind. When we are running fear programs, what happens is we create this area of doubt, where doubt is bred throughout everything that we do. And we go into scarcity, and we go into superstitions, and we go into what ifs. It is that what if that creates the dagger that kills all of your dreams. It kills off everything, every ounce of growth until it attacks your soul. If you allow fear to take root in what it is that you're doing, it begins to attack your soul. It begins to drain out all of the light. It drains out all of hope, drains out any progression. Fear is going to be the thing that will rob you of ever creating anything in your life that you desire. And so if we don't remove fear, you'll never move into confidence. You have to remove the fear. How we do that is actually very, very simple. It comes down to, what are you focusing on? Are you focusing on the things that cause fear, the unknown, the things that are hard and difficult, the mountain that you have to climb to get all the way to the top? Or are you looking at just one step, one little pebble that you have to climb over? Are you looking at just the next thing that I can do this one step? I don't have to do the whole thing at one time. I can do just one thing. For some people, if they're struggling with anxiety, if they're struggling with depression, that is one step, just getting out of bed. That one step is going to be things like posting a video or making a phone call. It's going to be just the simple little things that are going to be the single step that are moving you forward. But you have to remove the fear. To remove the fear, you have to shine a light on it. Do something different. Focus all of your energy on what is that next step. As you ignore the fear, and say, I'm going to do it despite the fear. I'm going to do it even though I am still fearful. I'm going to do it anyways. That's what's going to ignite your ability to say, okay, I think I can do this. It's going to breed optimism because look at the little steps that I've taken, and those little steps add up to something big. When we remove the fear, it allows us to be able to see that you're capable of creating small things. Those small things turn into big things. Those big things turn into miracles. When you allow yourself to focus on one little thing at a time, it's that one little thing that allows you to be able to create the success in your life that you are looking for. It's that one little step that's going to take you closer to where it is that you would like to be. Now, our next law that we're going to be going through is all about the habit of saving, what it is that you need to save. And it's not just financial, but what are the things that you need to do in your life to be able to save around you to help you create that success.